This is a virtual field trip down the Colin River, and during this we're going to use a GIS map to explore some of the context where the river is, and we're going to collect some data taken by students in previous years to give you a little bit of sense of what this fieldwork is like. So once you've opened the map, then we can go into bookmark number 1, and it's hopefully a nice little easy question to get you started. As usual, through this you'll be turning off and on layers. You just check those boxes or uncheck them to do so, and you have to figure out which river is flowing into which. Now, to help you with this, you're going to want to think of some of the things that we know about rivers, that this is flowing into the sea here, so that must be the mouth. So the water's flowing down that way. This is on top of a hill. There's 474 meters there. So that must be begins with S, source. So the river flows from the source downhill here. So which river is this? We'll come and turn this off and on. We'll find out. Oh, that's the Colin River. So from that should give you your answer to that question. Next we go to bookmark number 2. That's up here and to the source of the river. And we're going to be looking here at some issues to do with land use. So you want to turn on the layer land use. We come down the side here, we check that box, and boom, there's the land use has appeared. So we're going to first of all describe the land use of the source using this key. Now there is a key here on the GIS map, but that's really complicated, so we're not going to use it. This is your key here. Now these colours are quite similar, so you'll have to be careful with this one. But that colour is a more kind of fluorescent green. The colours that are on the map here are not really, there's the fluorescent green down to the bottom, so they're the kind of lighter greens, which are these ones here. Then you're using the measure tool to the length of the river from the source, where it starts, to where it enters the forest. That's this one here. Remember we saw that was the fluorescent green. And where did we see it? It was down here. Now I'm just going to turn this layer off here so you can see the river underneath. And you're basically just measuring the length of the river there. And I'm just going to drag this over a little bit, because the drop down menu will pop down here, and it's this tool here, which is your distance, and you drag it a bit more, and then you just simply go down along the river following that. You might want to turn off that layer Colin River so you can see the river in underneath. You keep going and double click to finish, and you finish down here at this point, and whatever your total distance would be is the answer for that one. Okay, next. Bookmark number 3. We're going to come down a little bit to the Colin Glen. We want to look here at the land use in this case. Again, the legend here is too complicated, so I've simplified it down here for you. And you're wanting to look and see here what the land use is around about the river. And you can see that this land use here, the river is now becoming surrounded by the red. Even though the river itself is flowing through this forest, very, very nearby is this red. And what's the red? There you go. And then measure tool, very similar to the last one, the length of the river from the bend in the road to the northwest to the Colin Glen Park in the southeast. There's the bend in the road there, the northwest. There's the Colin Glen Park in the southeast. So you're measuring from here to here. Again, using your measure tool there. The next thing for you to do then is just to take a journey from the bend in the road that we were there and follow all the way down the river until it comes to the lagoon. And you will be passing various places on the way down. Now, I'm going to show you one of these for illustration purpose, and then you can have a look at the rest of them. It's an industrial estate beginning with S. So let's see if we can find an industrial estate beginning with S. That would be it there. The Springbank Industrial Estate. So you just keep going on down until you can find the rest of those on the way down. Next up then is not using the GIS map. It's just simply seeing if you've got an idea of the right order that these need to be in. Which of these is a photograph of the source? Which of these is a photograph of the Colin Glen? And which of these is the area close to the confluence with the River Lagan? And so it's really seeing, pardon me, it's really seeing just how well you have grasped the land use on the way down. Feel free to look back at the map if you want to with that one. And then you just drag those around to put them in the order that you think they should go. The next task gets us to take a look at the geology of the area. So you're going to be going to bookmark number 4, which gives you an overview. You can turn off the land use and turn on the geology. Again, the key for this one is complicated here. There it was appearing complicated, so we're not going to use that. I've put a nice wee simple key for you here. So that's the geology, the overview. You can see the river as it flows down here flows through a number of different rock types. But let's go to the geology at the source, and all of a sudden that becomes a lot simpler. There's just one main colour there. And your task here is to describe the geology. So the pink colour is what? And then to say whether that rock is igneous, metamorphic or sedimentary. And then you just simply go down through the other two and do the same kind of thing. So geology here, what's the green colour? And geology in the Colin Glen, what is that colour? Right, now that we've taken a look at some of the area of the Colin River and what it's like, we now want to move on and do a little bit of fieldwork collection using this data here. Now, what you need to do is just a little bit of sorting and tidying up in the map. First of all, let's turn off the geology layer so that it's a little bit simpler to see. And I'm going to go to bookmark number 8 just to give us the overview. And then what I've got to turn on is the year 11 fieldwork Colin River data JP. Turn that one on, and there you can see the points appearing. Now, actually, this is done for you already, so you don't need to worry about doing that. Those are the points that are appearing that the year 11s collected last year. So what you're going to do with each of these then is go through and see what their data is. Because if you go into any one of those points, if you click on them, lo and behold, there is the data that they collected. You can see a range of different aspects of it there, and you just need to go in and find the appropriate data for width, average depth, and average velocity. You go down just those 4 survey points. 1, I'll just close that up. 2, 3, 4, and there you go. That's your 4 survey points there. You'll fill all of that in. Now the other thing then that you need to do is to use the measure tool again for the distance from the source to those points. So you will be doing it just as before, measuring it out, boom, 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 down to survey point number 1, etc., until you get there. Write that on. Now, a little tip for you, that whenever you're going from the source to survey point 1, you need to start at the source, but you don't need to start the source from survey point 1 to survey point 2. You can measure the distance from there down to there and add that to that distance from there to there. You don't need to measure it all again. And especially when you get down to survey points 2, 3 and 4, measure the distance between 2 and 3, add it on to your previous 2 totals, measure the distance between 3 and 4, add it on to your previous 3 totals. That'll certainly make that easier for you to do. And then you will complete your data. If we'd been able to do the field work, you would have been collecting that data yourself using the app on your phone, Survey 123, which collects this data and geotags it for you. And that's exactly what the students did last year, and that was the data that they got. So we're able to use their data. Then you're going to move on to take a look at your description of this. Now, we did a lot of work on this in our rivers book. We had pages after pages where you drew graphs and had to describe them. So I want you to go back in there and have a look at all of the tips that you had for this one. This answer needs to be a little bit longer. And of course, you should be quoting those lovely figures. You should always be quoting figures in your geography exam. Now, I should say, just in passing, it does say this in your notes, but you are able to bring this table of data with you into the exam. You do not need to learn these figures for that exam. You will be able to bring that in, and anything that we do based on these figures is in the preparation will be using our data. This is precisely and exactly the answer that you need for the exam. You should be well confident and very confident with this that you're going to do well. So that's your description. What happens? No explanation here, please. Notice the command phrase, what is happening? And look back in your books for tips on that. The next question is your explanation. Why? Why is it that the river gets deeper as you move downstream? Nearly there. The next task is to go in and just grab some of the photographs and some of the text. I'll show you where you get those from. Survey 123 enables you to take photographs of the area you're in. There's the text. And if you just click on here, there's the photograph. Just loading. As our poor Wi-Fi is struggling with all these people that are streaming from home at the moment, as I'm sure yours is as well. We'll just check back on that in a moment. You'll see that the photograph will be there. And that brings us then to the last task here, which is to state your hypothesis. Remember, your hypothesis is a statement of what the theory suggests should happen. State your hypothesis, and based on your data that you've collected, is your hypothesis true or false? Has the river done what you expect it to do? Right, just to make sure you've grasped everything that we've gone through here, this is part of your planning. You're using this secondary source of data, this GIS, to find out information about the river. But the second half of this, what we were able to do then was to collect the data. That's where you went on to all of those circles and clicked on them and filled in your table. Then you presented it, which in this case was on the map. So there's the data presented there. In the exam, you'll have to do that in a graph. Then you've analysed it. That was this slide. Describe what it's going on here. Then you have interpreted it. That's this slide, explaining what is happening. And then you have drawn your conclusions, which was this slide. Is your hypothesis true or false? So what we've managed to do here is to go through many of the stages of the geographical process of inquiry. Plan it, collect it, present it, talk about it, draw conclusions, and evaluate it. We've come all the way down here to the conclusions as you have been doing this fieldwork in this virtual form. The final thing that you need to do, please, is to complete this Google Forms quiz. This is not a test, it is quiz, so you're absolutely welcome, please, to use your slides and the answers that you've got there. Please do so, because we are going to set the pass mark quite high on this one because it's open book. So read your answers carefully, make sure that your answers are correct before you do it, and then have a wee go at the quiz.